Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Global Manufacturing and Industrialization Summit, GMIS 2020, digital series. My name is Najib Frigi, the Director of the International Peace Institute for the MENA region. I will be your moderator today, and we will be discussing impact investment through the Enterprise Development and Investment Promotion Program. I'd like to welcome everybody from different parts of the world, namely from Russia, Austria, Egypt, India, and Mali. Our distinguished guests will shed light on their experience and practices on the impact of investment through the enterprise development and investment promotion programs. This will lead us to elaborate on the enterprise development and investment promotion program, called universally as the Bahrain model. I have the pleasure to welcome for the opening remarks His Excellency Mr. Bernardo Calzadilla Sarmiento, Managing Director, Directorate of Digitalization, Technology and Agribusiness. He is also the Director of Department of Digitalization, Technology and Innovation, UNIDO in Vienna. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I am so honored and happy to be today with you. It wouldn't be more timely to have this discussion on how impact investment can help enterprise development through investment promotion program. As a starting point, I would like to refer to certainly the moment in which we are living. COVID-19 pandemic has put a lot of strains in our society and economies and the countries around the globe. We have been working on the virus containment, but what we have seen is that there has been a sharp decline in industrial production. Some companies shifted to medical goods, but also faced barriers to entry. And what we have seen is also a crisis of demand. We have seen a crisis of supply, disruption of the value chain. We have seen a disruption of demand. And also FDI and investment has declined. And this is where it is very important to think that more important than ever, it is important to ensure that impact investment for sustainability, for livelihood, can help us to bring a better future. At the core of this crisis, we have the SMEs, the MSMEs. Many of them, however, are linked to the global supply chains. And we have been working to help them to ensure business continuity, to maintain economic activity, but in the long term, we need to help them to recover. In this regard, UNIDO response has been to create a number of guidance documents to help responding to the global crisis through business continuity to recover and to create tailor-made approaches so that we can help the companies to be better prepared. The discussion of today will deal with some other important aspects. We need to make sure that the SMEs and the MSMEs have a proper access to finance and that they have a proper access to investment. Enhancing the compliance with the MSMEs with implementation of standards will also help to prepare for a more inclusive and sustainable future. Fostering the digital capabilities of MSMEs is very important for that. And we think that we need to address the challenge they have in relation to their integration in the fourth industrial revolution, because what COVID-19 has shown to us is that a process that was going on with accelerated technological transformation has been now made a new normal. So the new normal needs to embrace sustainability. We need to recover better so that we enhance the livelihood and the opportunities for all. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you, Bernardo. That was very, very interesting introduction and very insightful. I now give the floor to Her Excellency Ms. Veronika Peshkova, UNIDO Goodwill Ambassador. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
So thank you very much, distinguished colleagues, excellencies, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is a honor for me to participate in the Global Manufacturing and Industrial Summit. The event is a great opportunity to build mutually beneficial cooperation between investment and entrepreneurial communities. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Hashim Hussein, ITPO Bahrain, and all organizational team for their input and opportunities provided to all participants. It is a good sign that impact investment in terms of fourth industrial revolution are viewed as significant topics of the summit. The world is getting more and more automated. The digital industry is already representing 30% of the world's GDP. Its productivity annual growth rates is 4 times that of so-called physical industries, and 70% of all investments are attracting in ICT. The COVID-19 is becoming an unexpected accelerator of the digital transformation of all industries, with risk of further increased inequalities between those who have the skills to adopt and those who don't. And this issue, the issues of gender balance economic development, becomes extremely important in such terms. Gender equality is an integral part of the global sustainable development goals. Today, women economic empowerment agenda is developing on many international and global platforms, such as UN agencies, Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, World Trade Organization, World Bank, and other esteemed international institutions. Today, we see great opportunity to make a step forward by building multi-stakeholder partnership involving the private sector, non-governmental and international organizations, and research institutions to develop a women's friendly economic environment. Increasing women economic activity is the logic reaction on the opportunities and challenges of fourth industrial revolutions. Many of the working places that could be automated by the implemented digital technologies are currently occupied by women. On the other hand, women need to be recognized as producers, entrepreneurs, and leaders. It is essential to ensure women's voices heard and their role in decision-making and leadership increased. For this, not only removing barriers that prevent upgrading of technical knowledge and access of women to market is essential. It's also about the mindset change. Importantly, men have to be engaged into the discussion of the transforming of the social norms. It is not barely an issue of human rights. It is an issue of economic growth and welfare that is up to date in any part of the globe. UNIDO develops a project on women economic empowerment in cooperation with the Eurasian Women's Forum that leads women's agenda development in Russia. The next Eurasian Women's Forum will take place in September 2021 in St. Petersburg. The agenda of the forum would be devoted to the women's global mission in new reality, and we will appreciate delegates from across the globe. UNIDO recently arranged a conference, Women in Industries and Innovations, and the importance of involving women and girls to ICT and creative industry was marked as important task to achieving gender balanced economic development. The creative industries is, on the one hand, can be viewed as a very perspective economic sector, demonstrating significantly higher growth rates than the global economy on average. On the other hand, the sector creates many working places friendly for diversity. Today, creative enterprises employ more people than automotive industry of the United States, Japan, and Western Europe combined. And it is important to implement business model in creative industries, which are interesting for investors. And from my point of view, the support from national governments and international organizations would be beneficial for the sector. We will be glad to exchange the best practices in the field. And in this case, I'm pleased to announce that Ministry of Industry and Trade of Russia and ITPO Bahrain plan to arrange Russian-Arabian Women's Summit of Creative Industries and Innovations in November 2020. We hope to have this event in St. Petersburg offline and will appreciate your participation. Finally, I would like to wish success to all participants and expect very exciting discussion and cooperative opportunity.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. This was a clear voice of women in this very important sector. Congratulations, Madam. Now, I move to my friend, Dr. Hashim Hussein, the UNIDO head of UNIDO IPTO office in Bahrain. And with him, there is a lot of experience in the UN system and in industry. Dr. Hashim, with over 20 years of working in investment and technology promotion through entrepreneurship and innovation in 52 countries around the world, please enlighten us on the road forward to ensure impactful investment. First question. Second question, I would say, in the backdrop of COVID-19, how do you view, from your personal perspective and that of your organization, the support needed to sustain startups and the growth of SMEs? The floor is yours, Dr. Hashim.
Thank you, colleagues, distinguished panelists. It gives me a great pleasure to be with you here today, to be part of the GMIS digital series. I will share with you our best practices over the last 20 years in supporting the ecosystem for the domestic investment to mobilize foreign direct investment. The story started 20 years back under the banner of South-South cooperation between the government of India and the government of Bahrain and UNIDO as the core supporter to that program. We have developed the Arab International Center for Entrepreneurship and Investment to be as a program within ITPO Bahrain. The main player was the EDI, the Entrepreneurship Development Institute of India, and UNIDO Investment Promotion Directorate in UNIDO. Today, as part of the Directorate of Digitalization, Technology, and Agribusinesses, where the 9 UNIDO ITPO offices, they are both in north and south of the hemisphere. We're working, as you know, day and night to develop initiative programs, techniques to support startups, micro, small, and medium businesses, mainly how we ensure the right ecosystem for domestic investment to mobilization of foreign direct investment. To do that, of course, over the years, we have to work with a number of partners, worldwide, financial and non-financial support institutions and different stakeholders, from government to universities to financial institutions to NGOs. Also, we have been applauded from 2008 on the support which have been provided through the EDI program to the economic empowerment for women, worldwide. Over the years, this program has gone through a number of enhancements, which today they call it the mechanism for the incubation management system, which goes, of course, into 3 stages: the pre-incubation, incubation, and post-incubation. And this is complete what we call the investment cycle from startup to growth and sustainability of SMEs. Over the years, this partnership have worked with a number of financial developmental institutions in the region, like the Arab Bank for Development of Africa, the Islamic Development Bank, the Kuwait Fund for Economic Development, the Saudi Fund, and the Arab Economic Development Fund from one angle. Mainly, if we talk in the Arab region, our main partner was the Arab League and the Arab Union of Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Tourism and Agriculture, which is based in Lebanon. Today, I know my friend and my colleague Khalid Hanafi will illustrate into that how we have shaped and we're still shaping the ecosystem for the domestic investment to create jobs for youth and women in the Arab region, which concurrently will do the follow-up of foreign direct investment. And this has been demonstrated over the years by figures, how this has become a very important tool. You know, if we talk in the Southeast Asia, and if we see with India, when we have been talking with the Confederation of Indian Industries for years, we have been working in shaping the ecosystem with our partner, the CII, for the domestic investment for the micro and small businesses. We have engaged with them in enhancing also the ecosystem for incubation management within the Confederation of Indian Industries Partners in India through their public and private partnership. Also, we have been working with them on the program of Innovate India, which is one of the largest programs, I would say, worldwide, to identify and to support innovators all through India. In the sub-Saharan continent, you know, I've been working a lot with a number of support institutions, mainly developmental financial institutions, mainly I would say the BADIA, the Arab Bank for Development of Africa, and the Islamic Development Bank. We have managed to work on, I would say, always shaping and enhancing the ecosystem. This is what we do. This is all about IDIB, working with the different stakeholders, as I said, from financial to non-financial support services. We have been working mainly now recently in the G5, and mainly we're having a project which will start very soon in Mali. It's going to be the first project in the first 5 G5 countries on how to support the ecosystem for investment. You know, also we have worked a lot with the Opora, and especially in Russia, with the Women Association, how we can enhance the ecosystem for economic empowerment for women. And we're in a lot of discussion how we will work on Central Europe with them. As you can see clearly, you know, now the IDIB modality, as I said, as we are part of the UNIDO Investment Technology Promotion Offices, I'm part of the Directorate of Digitalization and Technology and Agribusinesses. Also, we work with the different branches in headquarters to support, you know, all what is required for the ISID, how to support more and more, you know, the industrialization process of developing countries. But of course, we come from the angle of investment promotion. One of the most important things which you all know, we have managed through the UN umbrella, of course, but UNIDO is the core agency, the World Entrepreneurs Investment Forum, which have started in 2015, but now it became branded as the UN Forum for Entrepreneurs, where we organize it every 2 years in Bahrain and in 1 year in between to be in a host country. This year it was supposed to be within Dubai Expo, but we are taking it in 2021 with the support of the Arab League. It will be in the Arab Pavilion. There are a lot of support setups and techniques. We have been working with partners at the national level, with international partners working in the area of investment promotion, like the Global Entrepreneurs Network, like the Creative Cups in Denmark, like the International Society for SMEs and so on, all under the banner of UNIDO support activities. Now, of course, with the COVID-19, this have forwarded us to the digital revolution or the fourth industrial revolution to be more engaged, you know, to ensure the entrepreneurs' resilience in the different countries we have been working with. So today, you know, we're witnessing even the GMIS, how now it has been all transformed to be virtual, which I think this is going to be the future of entrepreneurs when we come to innovation and digitalization. I will stop here, and then of course I will give short remarks at the end of the different panelists when they will provide their interventions. But I would like to thank, of course, the GMIS Secretariat, which have allowed us this very important opportunity on how to look into the future manufacturing and how this will affect entrepreneurs mainly in the Northern Hemisphere. Then we will see how we can develop and implement and enhance more and more programs with our different partners to ensure sustainable development for micro and small and medium businesses.
Thank you, my friend, Dr. Hashim. That was very, very interesting. And I am a witness of how live wire you and your team have been in this country and this part of the world. Now I move to another leading lady, woman from my continent, from Africa, Her Excellency, Ms. Safia Bori, ex-Minister of Private Investment, Small and Medium Enterprises and National Entrepreneurship in Mali. Your Excellency, part of your career was in UN peacekeeping, and then you moved into SMEs and entrepreneurship, and recently Minister of Investment in your country, Mali. The G5 Sahel is challenged with instability and high youth rates. What is in your reading on a conductive ecosystem in the backdrop of COVID-19, the answers to Africa, the G5 Sahel, and Mali in particular? My second question would be, what steps have been taken to overcome these challenges in Africa as a whole, and as I said, Mali in particular? Thank you. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'd like to first thank UNIDO for creating the environment for us to share our best practices and learn so much from ourselves, as well as foster partnership that will help us have more resilient national economies and, as a result, resilient regional economies and global economies. Indeed, the G5 Sahel has had a lot of challenges security-wise, and one of the observations we've made throughout is the fact that the solutions that we are putting forward in terms of to sustain any level of development in the G5 cannot be done without a combination of diplomatic security measures as well as efforts for development. And these efforts include primarily fostering and reinforcing entrepreneurship. So we're speaking mainly of small and medium enterprises and micro, small and medium enterprises. In Mali, for example, before the COVID came as one of the biggest hurdles for our economy was growing at a steady rate of 5% in spite of the security challenges. Security with the COVID became a series of compounded risk for our national economies, but mainly for our SMEs, which are the most vulnerable part of the economy. In terms of observations, the first one was, of course, the need to couple development efforts with diplomatic and security measures, but throughout that, target specifically SMEs that are run by women and by youth. In Mali, for example, 60% of our population is below the age of 35, which means that we have a pool of enthusiasm, of knowledge that can be just channeled towards entrepreneurship. In terms of fostering that spirit of entrepreneurship, we have organized several events, salons of entrepreneurship, where we were able to show to individuals how the journey of entrepreneurship can be long and enduring, but it can be subsequently finalized with a great success, which can help create wealth for yourself, your community, in your country, and so on and so forth. Aside from that, we've established programs for the development of SMEs that targeted 4,000 SMEs run by youth and women as part of the promise of the president for his mandate to be accompanied throughout the period of 5 years through incubation, learning, as well as sustainable access to financing. The second, I would say the third observation that we've made is that within this environment of a compounded risk of security and COVID, one of the key ingredients for resilience and sustainability was access to financing. Most small and medium enterprises have difficulty meeting the requirement of conventional financing with commercial banks. So they will resort to institutions of microfinance. Therefore, our effort to foster entrepreneurship and make our SMEs resilient cannot be done in isolation of strengthening institutions of microfinance. Our efforts were also aimed towards that in Mali. And we're very pleased to indeed start this program with UNIDO, ITPO's office, that will be promoting domestic investment as a means of leveraging and obtaining foreign direct investment. Indeed, when you're a country that has, as I mentioned, some compounded risk, for foreign investors to come in, they need to find a very strong layer of domestic investment and therefore resilient small and medium enterprises that gives them assurance, but also allow them to share some of the risk. Another observation that we've made is our interdependencies within the G5, Sahel, and to a larger extent in the continent and globally. We have established through the challenges in the supply chain that our small and medium enterprises and our economy in general were so much interlinked that we had not, I would say, established as well the extent to which this was. Therefore, the need for us to create infrastructures, whether they are physical or digital through the fourth revolution, is one of the lessons that we have drawn also from this experience. And going forward, we definitely will be working on those specific areas to foster our entrepreneurship, especially for youth and for women. With regard to specific steps that have been taken in Mali to protect the economy, the SMEs, and make sure that they're not very vulnerable, the government of Mali put forward 20 specific measures, and those measures were very large. They covered a social measure for families that had very, very low incomes, such as free electricity for 2 months, as well as for SMEs, we had a reduction in tax rates, and we had also delayed in taxes to be also provided. But most importantly, in order to ensure access to financing, we've established a fund that guarantees loans of SMEs and microfinance institutions. We estimate that those measures will have a very strong impact in ensuring the partnership that we're looking for, but also the resilience for our SMEs. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
You reflected basically the situation, not only in Mali, but in the whole continent. Thank you so much. Now I move to Dr. Khalid Hanafi, Secretary General of the Lebanon-based Union of Arab Chambers, who is addressing us now from Egypt. The Union of Arab Chambers, Dr. Hanafi, represents the biggest private sector association in the Arab region, I would say in the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa. In a recent study conducted by the Arab Labor Organization amid COVID-19, the Arab world lost not less than 20 million jobs. And by 2025, the same Arab countries will need to create an additional 100, not less than 100 million jobs. This is a challenge. What programs and initiatives, Dr. Hanafi, are you adopting towards shaping and enhancing existing innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystems to be more geared towards addressing the SDGs, the digital revolution, job creation, and economic prosperity. Second segment of my question, my friend, would be, what are the requirements needed to achieve sustainable impact investment? Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Najib, and thanks for all. I'm really very honored to participate in this event, in this webinar, and to share the floor with the distinguished speakers. Also, thank you for UNIDO Al-Bahrain for all the efforts, our strategic ally, and we had a long journey together, and we have future journeys, hopefully. Regarding what you addressed, of course, I will not going to talk about the problems and the challenges, because everybody now in the world is talking about the challenges and making estimates of the damage of coronavirus or COVID-19 and so on. And all the estimates, I'm sure, are not that accurate, because everybody is speculating about employment, about GDP slowdown or shrinking and everything. But when it comes to us, Union of Arab Chamber, Union of Arab Chamber is the representative of the private sector in all 22 Arab countries. In all the Arab countries, we represent the private sector. The private sector means 75% of the GDP of the Arab countries. It means around 75% of employment in the Arab countries. So this sector is the sector that can lead what we are talking about. And it was very smart of UNIDO Al-Bahrain to join forces with the private sector of the Arab countries, because the chambers are financed by the investors, by the entrepreneurs, and they have a continuous flow of finance. The members of Arab chambers are millions of entrepreneurs, small businesses, medium businesses, and of course, very large and giant businesses. Our goal here is to create jobs, is to have more employment. But the idea is not just to have a job, but the idea is to be very consistent with the new world order, with the fourth industrial revolution, with the SDGs. So we started many programs, but I will talk about some of them jointly with the UNIDO Al-Bahrain. I remember in Al-Bahrain itself, last year in 2019, in November, we had a great event. Part of this event was Rally for Entrepreneurs. Jointly, we launched this rally to welcome entrepreneurs from all Arab countries. Surprisingly, we received thousands of teams coming from all the 22 Arab countries. We worked very hard over a year to create this, not only with the UNIDO, but also with universities, because what we needed is to have the ideas from the entrepreneurs, the innovators, and to have it shaped with the UNIDO system and to be systemized with academic and scientific background. And the results were great. Surprisingly, the giant investors and business people under the umbrella of the chambers, they came and they attended the competition, the final competition. And voluntarily, they donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to those youth. The projects, most of the projects were very consistent with what we are talking about. Projects were related to the fourth industrial revolution, things related to digitalization, to innovation, plus the participants, a recognized percent of them were females, and this was very interesting and welcoming to everybody. The enthusiasm was very great. We didn't reach this and said that this was great. We plan to have this annually, jointly, over year after year. And we invited the League of Arab States to have an umbrella, a political umbrella, to engage the governments as well. So we acted jointly as advocates to push on governments to participate and to contribute as well. Also, we started to have another thing, which is to have innovation program over the Arab world, jointly, of course, with the UNIDO Bahrain, to create spots in each Arab country. And we are going to start by Egypt, having centers in each governorate in Egypt under the umbrella of each chamber in Egypt. In Egypt, there are 27 local chambers. So jointly, we addressed the government of Egypt, the prime ministry, the ministries responsible for this, with the private sector in the chambers in the 27 countries. With the system of UNIDO, we started this to host and to welcome innovators and to adapt them with training and development in order for them not just to have some primitive ideas or to have some primitive businesses. What we are addressing are value-added businesses that are very consistent with the fourth industrial revolution, with the artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, the 3D printing, and so on. We're not just going to have incubators. We are going to have incubators, but we think of breeders as well. We need to have system of breeding innovators and then to be incubated, and then we are going to move over the cycle that Dr. Hashim mentioned just now. So the idea is to have very large scale, very large number of innovators, and to have a filter, to have an adaptation system. So I think that the future is for the small and medium enterprises, not just to have small and medium enterprises in value added, but in the number of employees. But the value added will not going to be small or medium, it will be large, hopefully. So our objective now is to engage a very large number of innovators through the chambers, through universities, because the competition invited all the universities in the Arab world to encourage the youth in the universities to participate with their ideas, with their projects, after dealing with the universities, with the system to filter the projects and the ideas. Step by step, we are going to have an ecosystem, and this ecosystem hopefully will make a great change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As I said in the beginning, you have the, I would say, the most challenging challenges. And when we listen to you, we go out with more hope that the challenges in the MENA region will be tackled with the SMEs, youth, women, and I would say vigorous private sector. Thank you so much, Dr. Hanafi.
Thank you. It's my honor and pleasure.
Thank you. I move to Mr. Anjan Das. He's the Executive Director of the Confederation of Indian Industry, and he is also the Director of Technology and Innovation. He's addressing us from New Delhi, India. Confederation of Indian Industry is a significant player, Mr. Anjan, in unleashing and boosting innovation, entrepreneurship, and SMEs in your country, India, which I would call the subcontinent, through your strong partnership with the public sector. My two questions, sir, are: first, what programs have you pioneered, and how can we replicate these programs in other countries? My second question is, in the backdrop of, again, COVID-19, how can entrepreneurs and innovators contribute and be in the forefront of the fourth digital revolution? The floor is yours, Dr. Anjan.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Special thanks to Dr. Hasim Hussain for bringing me on this platform. And I have been often on regular visitor for ITPO events. And of course, I also have the opportunity of having Dr. Hasim in our country very soon and often. Thank you. So I'd like to address your first question, is that, and what are the key success factors, and then what can be possibly replicated in other countries. So I want to pick up 3 points on this particular subject. One is that how we are building the innovation intensity in the industry and primarily SME. That's number one. Number two, how we are bringing the success rate of the startups through Corporate Connect much higher. And of course, the next one, of course, I will go back to your COVID-19 questions. So first one is that, currently India is having its science, technology, and innovation policy in the making. So they're drafting phase. This would be the 4th edition of the science, technology, and innovation policy, and very prestigious and exciting exercise. I'm part of it personally, and in the subgroup of financing STI, and which is basically almost the topic here we are talking about. Financing STI, and we have certain statistics which is that in India's investments in R&D and what we call gross expenditure in R&D, GERD, is around 1% of GDP. And if you look at the countries who are basically innovation-driven economies, they are more than 2%. And some of the countries like Korea is around 4% plus. So that gives a big indicator that what is this economy is innovation-driven or otherwise. Now, if we look at these investments very carefully, the private sector invests more than 60 to 70% of this whole investments in the country. Now, that also another parameter that how innovation is actually led by the business people than it is pushed by the government. So we have created a company. It's a joint venture company with the government. It's a PPP, public-private partnership, where government investments into R&D is managed by this company. And this company is, through the competitive bidding, finds the private sector to put money into the R&D on a 50-50 investment model. So it is a risk-sharing model than incentivizing through tax reduction. So that is working much better. And I'm sure this particular model is going to be a new, I can say, direction towards different countries possibly to adopt this, that many countries has an incentivization system, but possibly risk sharing would be the much better model. Second one, we always find that there is a disconnect between the private sector and the academic and R&D institutions, which is, of course, everywhere, I'm sure, to some extent. In our country, it is also pretty much this gap. So what we have started from Confederation of Indian Industry side is that we have created a fellowship program of PhD scholars in the universities, which in which the private sector will top up the government fellowships. That means if government is giving some X amount, X dollar for the scholarship to a PhD student for doing PhD for 4 to 5 years, and I also bring X amount of dollar from the private sector to give to that PhD scholar. So this PhD scholar gets 2X of the scholarship, but that's the financial part. But the catch here is that this PhD scholar is going to do the research on the industry assigned problem. So it is a industry driven PhD fellowship program, which is actually a very successful, and we already have around 500 such successful PhD scholars who have been working on PhD on the problems given by the private sector. So I'm just trying to give you certain facets of how we are trying to increase the density or the intensity of R&D and innovation in the companies. For SMEs particularly, we have pushed government to create a bill and a rule that if, because SME needs lots of fund for many purposes, it can be working capital or doing something and all that. So what we said is that, and they have to give a mortgage and the surety to the bank, as a collateral security to take money, right? Now that collateral security primarily is a physical security like land or building and things like that. And SME, they don't have that. Otherwise they would not have finding, problems. So what we have created this is that if an SME has a patent in intellectual property or a design, for their creative minds, this can be mortgaged. So intellectual property can be mortgaged to the financial institutions. Then we can actually hit two birds in one stone, in the sense that we are triggering and we are stimulating SMEs to create new IP, more innovation, and they can see that that means money which can be mortgaged to the bank if it is to be done that way. So that's another part possibly we can really look at that other countries possibly think. For the startup, very quickly, you can let me know when my time is finished. So startup is major, India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. We have 30 unicorns, and primarily we see all these unicorns are coming from the services sector. That's an worrying point. We are not seeing this big startups, successful startup unicorns are coming from the manufacturing sector. Of course, it is important that the lead time is much higher. So we are connecting the startups with the corporate and a business partnership model. That means we are at the very early stage, CII member companies, we are creating certain pool to adopt startups for mutual business gain, not on philanthropic relationship model. So that means if they see there is a spark in the startup in my own business area, for example, automobile company, I see a startup which is a great ideation in the automotive sector, I do a business partnership with that and co-create model and jointly benefit from this. So that's what the first question is concerned. Second, very quickly, so the COVID-19 actually has seen this partnership, private sector, government and startup community, they have joined together. In 2 months, they have brought ventilators, testing systems, then PPA, PPEs, all these new technologies, they have converted commercial products in 2 months' time. So I see this an opportunity. If there is a crisis, I think things would do much better. Thank you very much.
Mr. Anjan Das, your statement was to the point, and it reflected or shed the light in on the key role you are leading there with CII, and we congratulate you for that. And before giving the floor back to my friend, Dr. Hashim, I'd like to tell everybody that you have touched upon this very important issue, and that you have all shown or expressed how linked your focuses and your fields of interest to the Sustainable Development Goals, and we are proud here to notice that. I will give the floor back to my friend Dr. Hashim for his remark.
Mr. Najib, well, this has been very inspiring and very interesting that we have been seeing the ecosystem, in the world is being shaped and is getting shaped, really, also as part of the innovation and the digitalization process. I believe just my closing remarks that now with this partnership between UNIDO and GMIS, we are on our best timing for different reasons, but one of the main important reasons that our newly appointed, Mr. Bernardo Casadia, as the managing director of the Directorate of Digitalization, Technology and Agribusiness, and also he's the focal point for GMIS within UNIDO. This partnership between UNIDO and GMIS started 4 years back, which have been looking worldwide on the future of manufacturing through events, through programs, through research. And of course, the most important of that is when we wanted to see, because UNIDO, is rightly placed on the ISID, mainly SDG 9, infrastructure, innovation, and industrialization. So our aim is to see where is the future of this manufacturing will go, how we'll bring it to shape the ecosystems for investment, how it will help supporting innovation and entrepreneurship, but also as the players or the members of UNIDO from different parts of the world, how we are working and integrating the best practices, from India with CII, from China with Shenzhen Youth and Innovation Forum and Hub, with Russia, through the Apora, at the national and state level with different countries, how we're bringing this, how we're, as Dr. Khalid said, we're talking about today also about the future of what we have been doing in mechanism to ensure, I always repeat, the ecosystem for the domestic investment, for mobilization of foreign direct investment. I believe GMIS, with the partnership of UNIDO, now will play a very important role to support bringing best practices to see the future of manufacturing and how member states of UNIDO will benefit in their process, in their endeavor to support the industrialization process through innovation and entrepreneurship. I would like to thank all the speakers, starting by our new, and also to congratulate our new managing director, Mr. Bernardo Casadilla, where of course he had a long experience in different areas, but mainly in investment promotion and SMEs. This will play a very important role in bringing, the future of manufacturing and GMIS to bring their vision and their aim, how to support innovation and SMEs and entrepreneurship. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Hashim. That was very interesting. And I now give the closing keynote remarks to Dr. Siddique, Director General of the Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa.
As you know, Badea has just started the implementation of its 2030 strategy. This strategy is centered around 4 pillars, and one of the pillars is entrepreneurship and support to SMEs. Africa is our mandate, and Badea has been working over the past 4 decades to support economic and social development in sub-Saharan Africa. The bank has great experience in terms of supporting the public sector, but it engaged over the past few years in supporting the private sector. And the bank is supporting the private sector in various areas. First, through capacity building, which is a cross-cutting pillar of the new strategy, but also financing. We are funding the private sector either directly or through local banks or through regional development bank, and we are also engaged in PPP projects. We are also considering private equity funds. So Badea is working also very closely with Regional Development Bank, but also with some of our partners such as ITPO, Bahrain. They are helping us in this area of capacity building and also in the whole environment of SMEs and support to entrepreneurship. We have already ongoing operation in some African countries, and this operation will enable us to better support entrepreneurs, employment for youth and women. So Badea is working with many partners, among them ITPO Bahrain, and we have a partnership to support some of our African countries to develop their business environment, but also to create enabling conditions for the entrepreneurs to develop their activities, and particularly to support youth and women. We are now in the process of launching a coalition to support SMEs, and a workshop will be organized shortly when the condition will be appropriate. And that coalition is meant to gather all the stakeholders who are interested in supporting SMEs in sub-Saharan Africa. That means that we will have around the table commercial banks, development banks, government, academia, international organization, private sector, philanthropia, and other stakeholders. The objective of this coalition is to find solutions for supporting SMEs around Africa, and to develop a holistic approach for supporting SMEs, because we noticed from our exchange with SMEs in sub-Saharan Africa that to have access to market, but sometimes they have access to market and they don't have access to finance, and sometimes they have access to finance and to market, but they don't have mentoring. Sometimes they lack the knowledge of the sector and of the techniques. Sometimes they don't have also the appropriate skills. So we need really to bring everybody who is interested in supporting SMEs and everybody who can contribute to the development of SMEs in Africa, and to have them work together. Because currently everybody is working on one area and, or two areas, but we need to join our efforts and to work together to around in sub-Saharan Africa, and also to help to finance and to have access to market. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was very interesting, and I wish all of you good luck in your entrepreneurship, innovation, and sustainable development goals trajectories. Continue the conversation on our social media at GMIS Summit by using the hashtag GMIS 2020.